early start for me today. It's just after 6:30 and it's 1 degree centigrade. I have a little bit of frost on the windscreen again this morning. I've now just negotiated the outer NDR ring road of Norwich and I'm on the A47. So today I'm back off down into the Suffolk area and I'm going to cover another venue in a similar area to where I was last time. Today I'm heading towards Bawdsey Manor. So Bawdsey Manor is almost directly opposite, it's on the opposite side of the River Deben from where I was in Felixstowe the other week. And that's sort of the last one really along that stretch. It's just up along the coast from East Lane. It's going to take me about an hour and 40 minutes to get there. So that's why I've left a little bit earlier, just to make sure I can avoid most of the traffic. So it's going to be my normal sort of route today, down towards Beccles, then out, join the A12, all the way along to the Woodbridge area, virtually the same way as I went to East Lane, it's just a little bit further on. So what I'll do is I'll get this part of the journey out of the way and bring you back when we're a bit nearer. Well, welcome back everyone. Just here on the left is the turning for East Lane. I don't know if you remember that from last time. Not been too bad a journey considering the 6:30 start time meant that the first part was virtually traffic free. I just hit a little bit of traffic when I come off the A12 at Woodbridge, but that was just after 8 AM, so that was to be expected. And now I've got about 5 minutes to go to the Bawdsey Ferry car park. Now I'm not going to actually park in the ferry car park because I believe there's restrictions in there. It's about 4 hours parking or something like that. But there was a little picnic car park just before you get there, and that's the one I'm aiming for. Last time I came here, it wasn't fishing, but that particular car park was free. So there's not many spaces in there, but if I can get in there, that'll be the place. So yeah, on from East Lane, just found a few more twisty lanes, loads of roadworks and all sorts of things going on everywhere at the moment. So be a bit careful on these narrow roads. Looks lots and lots of works, traffic, bollards, sets of traffic lights, all sorts. So here we come up now. This is like the end of Ferry Road. And if you carry on all the way down, you'll come to the ferry car park. What I'm going to do is just up here is pull into the free car park and park in there, walk down to the ferry. So here's the entrance, just up here on your left. There is a height restriction, so if you're driving tall things, 2.3 metres to get in here. Just trying to remember where the access road goes through. We'll have to look at my map. What I'm going to do is spin around, find us somewhere to park safely. I think it's straight through there, through those bollards there, and that footpath takes you down to the ferry. I'm just going to park up here on the right. Yeah, okay, so once you've come into this car park through there, you've got a few car parking spaces just here, and then it's straight through that little track there. You've got a toilet block. At the toilet block you turn right and you're then on the main ferry road, and that takes you down to the quayside car park. Okay, so the car's parked in that little picnic area, and that's just opposite the entrance into the picnic area. It's just up there by those vans. It's about 50 metres from those vans. Here's obviously the estuary of the Deben, and then we're going to walk up past the quay, round the corner and onto the front of Bawdsey Beach. It's probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes walk, but pleasant enough day today. So the tide's virtually almost low now, low water. There's old Felixstowe over there. So let's get this walk done. Looks like it's going to be a cracking day weather-wise. Well, that didn't take long at all, really. Bearing in mind, today I've got the little one out for her first trip of the year. Still got a coat on. It's still only 4 degrees, but it's going to warm up in this sun. So we've walked along the front of the quay there, past the entrance to the quay. About another 10 minutes to that corner there, and another 5 minutes to where we are. So the total walk from the car park was just about 20 minutes, and that's bearing in mind I've got a dog that likes sniffing everything, so that's took me a little bit longer than probably what it would take you with your normal gear. So we've arrived nice and early, as you can see. Sea's still quite a way out. It's very interesting to see all those sort of sandbars out there and that exposed. As I say, that's the entrance there to the Deben, and yeah, you get a fair old tide rip through that little gully there going in. This side, pretty much a steep shelving part of the beach here, so we've got a big step down here, which I'm anticipating high tide line, maybe that one down there, the next one where that little V in the stones is today. You can see it's been up here higher because it's put this ridge all the way along. And then you obviously go up there towards the manor, and that's where you've got all that old woodwork and up there. As I say, I've arrived in plenty of time today. I've got a high tide of around about 2:15, 2:20 this afternoon, and it's now 9:30, so it gives me time now to have a little bit of a sit down, a drink, maybe take the dog for a walk down, and also I've got to do the usual when I bring her. I've got to check all around the area to make sure there's no tackle or hooks lying around, bits of line and stuff like that, because she's bound to pick them up if other people have left old fish cut-offs and things like that from their rebaiting on the beach. She'll mop them up, so if there's one with a hook in, it's lethal. So I always do a little check round with her. As I say, we've got plenty of time today to do that, so that's the next job. I've got a few bits out, and what I should do is have a nice slow assemble this morning, and then probably look to get fishing around about 10, 10:30. That'll give me the 4 hours up. I'm expecting by then it's going to be just into the bottom of that gully, which is obviously, if you look along here, that's quite a prominent gully there all the way along. That's got to be a fish holding area later on when the tide's up. This beach can throw a fair amount of bass in the summer. Flatfish, soles, smooth hounds, rays, all the usual suspects. Dogfish, can't forget the dogfish. Not quite sure what it's going to throw up today. As I say, we're still in that little changeover period. Still very frosty overnights at the moment. But we have got now extended sunlight hours during the day, and it won't be long now before the water temperatures start warming up and the sport picks up a little bit. So, yeah, let's get on with that, get some stuff sorted out, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready to start fishing. Right, what I've done, I've just set up those two. I've set up my 2 Tawny Pros today, and my 2 rebuilt Millionaire reels. Now I've just had them completely upgraded. New bearings in each, new carbo drag washers in each, and in one of them I've actually put a mono mag. It's the first time I've done one of those mono mags on those reels, and it went pretty smoothly, to be fair, and I was quite impressed. I've just had the first test cast with it, and it absolutely flies, so I'll possibly be doing that on the other reel as well, and I'll have 2 magged reels and 2 standard reels then. They're both loaded with 15 pound mainline, and they've got 70 pound shock leaders on. Rigs today, let me just go through the rigs. So I'm going to fish 2 rods with fairly decent baits. I'll try some worms later on, but fish baits mainly, maybe squid and fish. I'm going to have a 36-inch pulley rig with a 30-inch single hook on that one, a bait stop. And on the other rig, what I'm going to do is this carrying on with that experimental part of the bar rig I was doing, but what I've done now, I've made the bottom part of a loop rig, and instead of it being clipped back up the trace, the actual hook, once it's baited, just hangs freely in that breakaway splashdown, and as you cast it obviously follows back behind and releases, and you're left with a long flowing trace again. I'll try and demonstrate that a bit later on, once I get it into the water. But this one, I've seen it used recently, seems to work, and it's got less bits on there to get hooked up and make it more complicated. So that's the reason I'm trying that out today. The sea's now just reached the bottom of the gully there, which I said would probably be about the time I start. Probably by the time I get my bait sorted and rigged up, baited up ready, would be perfect. Okay, I've got the first rod baited up. That's just with the standard pulley rig, and that's got a chunk of herring on there, that size of my thumb as usual. This is the other rig I want to try out today, and it's this variation of, it's not a bar rig, it's not a loop rig. Well, it is in essentially a loop rig, because there's a big looper line there which makes the hook link about four foot long. It's just teed off as you would your loop rig. That one is about 6 inches above the lead, and then the hook is just literally locked into your Gemini splashdown like that. As it casts out, that will then come back behind the lead and follow the lead. As it hits the water, splashdown will release, and your bait's away. And that's the theory. And on that one I've got a piece of squid with a bit of herring wrapped in it as well. So we'll give those both a first cast and see how we get on. Right, I'm going to trudge down the bottom first of all to get these first casts out. It's quite a steep little slope there. It's alright going down. Like Mount Everest when you're on the way back. Anyway, this is where I reckon the tide might end up today, on this bit here, so I might be able to move forward a bit later on. I'm going to get this first rod put out. See how we get on. Dog's guarding the shelter up there, which is good. Everything's checked and away we go. Bosh. It's gone out lovely. Reel sound absolutely spot on. Smooth as silk again. Every 2 or 3 years I tend to give them that big overhaul with the new bearings and everything. This is the bit. Climbing up the slope. Legs are not what they used to be. We made it. That'll be my exercise for the week today. First one's out. This second one, pulley rig and herring bait. This one is mag reel. I have had them used and magged in the past, but this one I did myself. Bought all the kit online from Black Dog. Does take a bit of not a bottle, but to actually put a drill to the side of the insides of your reel. Once you've done it, it's brilliant. Wow. Wow. That's absolutely flown, and that's with the mags full on. When I do that the first few times, I start off with the magnets full on and then gradually back them off, and you can tell where the locking screw is, how many turns or half turns that you do, so you can remember the settings and then set that reel back to that mark each time. Right, that's the first 2 casts out. I do apologise if I'm a little bit croaky and a little bit sniffy. I've just had a week of my first proper cold for ages. So I haven't had a proper cold since about COVID, to be honest. Right. Rods are out. Dog's happy. And I think I'm going to get a cup of coffee on the go now. Yeah, the quicker that tide comes up the better. I won't be going up that bank too many times today. Well, the rods are just sort of sat nicely and there's virtually no swell at all. Flat calm sea. Rods are just set out exactly where I put them, so there's not much tide run either. It's only the first real start of the flood really. Absolutely glorious conditions now. The sandbar over there is just about starting to be engulfed. And if you can see that Martello Tower in the distance, we're just round that corner there. It's actually where the second place I went after the dip last week, Cliff Road. That's just round that corner. We're about, I suppose, in a straight line, just under a mile from there. So I would expect, maybe today, with conditions being as they are, nice and calm. There's a bit of colour in the water. Possibility we could pick up a ray today at some point. If nothing else, and we don't pick up any of those rays, we'll be picking up some of these rays because it's absolutely glorious now. I'm about to ditch the sweatshirt, so I'll be just in a t-shirt. And for the first week in March, can't really grumble at that. 2 weeks ago, I'd have had 4 or 5 layers on. Dog's happy. She's got her little place. As long as she's got her head in the sun, she'll stay there all day. Got water and food for her. So she's in her element. So am I. Just want one of those tips to pull around and maybe slack line maybe. Got another chap just up there, turning up, he's put a couple of rods out. He's already got his t-shirt on, so that's what I'm going to do next, before I overheat. Okay, those 2 casts have now been out just about half an hour, haven't seen anything on the tips. I'm going to bring in the right hand one first, which is the last one to go out. Give it a bait change, and then do the same with the left. Off the bottom. It feels a bit clayey out there, but there you go. That's off and it's coming. Wind whistling through the line there. It does actually feel a little bit heavy, but I don't think it's a fish. It will be a crab. Don't know. Definitely more than just the weight. Let's put it like that. Stay there. Dog's now getting interested because someone's on the beach. Now nothing on there. But the good news is that was that rig with the bait just clipped into the splashdown and it's released fine. It's all good, no tangles. Lead's not tripped, so it might have been that just biting in. Bait is absolutely untouched. Apart from that, I'm satisfied with that. Let's just put that in there for now. You know, I've got a removable hook link on here, so that means when that does come in, I have actually got to rebait the rig rather than a new hook link. But yeah, there's the bait. Virtually as it went out. So don't mind that so much. If it's not being attacked by crabs or anything, it does at least give it a chance for a fish to find it. If it's being mullered as soon as it goes out there, it lowers your chances obviously. So what I've actually replaced that bait with is a couple of blacks there, and I've put a squid head on there as well, and I'm going to lock that into that rig and get that recast. I'll do what I normally do. I'll move the left hand rod across to the right and cast this to the left. I've got a young lad down there on the water's edge. I was going to start casting from up the top here, but don't really want to take the risk just in case something cracks off and goes that way. So I'll go down the slope like I have been. Less chance of any accidents then. you can actually see the bait sort of spinning or twizzling a little bit as it's trailing behind the lead, but providing it releases every time, I'm not too worried about that. Certainly not cutting the distance down at all. Alright, that's that one out. Might as well do the other one while I'm up. I've got the pulley rig on the other one. This one went out a bit further. I can tell by the amount of line left on the reel. Right. Get the lead off. Because it's gone out so far, it's going to be... That's it, I've got the lead up and moving now. So the further out you go, the more leverage you need to get that up off the bottom. There's more line laying on the bottom. That's on its way in now. Might not cast this one quite as far next time. I don't think there's the need to do that on this beach. So it's on the way nice and smooth now. Nothing on it as far as I know. Doesn't feel like it anyway. Comes the lead on the beach. No, nothing on that. I'm going to try casting this one from off the top there, but to the right hand side maybe. To give them a little bit more room there. That one again. Bait's untouched. Clean the lid. This one has got a removable hook link, so we can just literally whip the hook off. So there it is, a squid and sardine cocktail this time, going out on the pulley. Just enough point showing on the hook. And as I say, I'm going to attempt to cast that off the top there. Okay, that's both rods now with the baits refreshed. Got a little bit of worm on the right hand rod with a squid head. And on the left hand rod, that's the sardine and the squid cocktail. I'm just going to really question 20 minutes, half an hour for baits if I don't get any indications. And rotate them around. So if anyone does think about coming to fish this beach, looking at it where the tide line is now, so you've got it just down the bottom there now, that's 2¼ hours before high tide today. So that, looking at where it is and where I'm fishing from, that would be the ideal time to turn up, round about 2½ hours before high tide, and then perhaps fish it 2½ hours after. So they give you 5 hours fishing without having to move your gear and all that sort of stuff. Another couple of anglers have now come along and squeezed in that gap, so more people in than I thought today. Right, a routine bait change for this experimental rig. There it is, hanging in the splashdown. Touch wood, so far that hasn't tangled at all. It's released every time. Up and away. Once you get it up and away, if you keep going, it should come in fairly straightforward every time. That initial must be clay, I think, out there. It's quite sticky. But as soon as it's off of that, it seems fine. There it comes again. No, nothing on it. Surprise, surprise. And the lead's tripped that time. Tiny little blob of weed on the leader knot. Nothing to worry about. It's easy to clean that. Bait still intact. So I'm not sure. Sometimes people worry about bait comes back and it's not been touched, but to my way of thinking sometimes is, at least you've had a takeable bait out fishing for the amount of time you've left it out there, rather than having it ragged out after the first 10 minutes by a crab and then no bait. So whip that one off, and we're going to put this bar experimental thing on. There it all is, ready to go. I'm going to launch it from up here. I think the wind is starting to swing round a bit, and you might have noticed I've got my hoodie back on because it has got a distinct chill in the air now. It's westerly wind when I got here, and that's now got a little bit of south in it, and it's picking up a little bit because I can feel it on my face. You may be able to hear it on the mic, but it's definitely fresher than an hour ago. Out she goes. Just had a little bit of a pull down on that left down rod, and that's the one I've just put out not so long ago. Tip pulled down about an inch, then flick back. It's the first indication I've had. And that's also the one on that experimental rig with a long flowing trace, so fingers crossed, whatever it is has got hold of it, and the next indication will be a bit more positive, something I can actually hit. It's a fairly substantial hook on there. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. That's a fish. That. Yeah, let's move the lead as well. Let's move the lead down side. Fish on. Definitely feels like there's a fish on there. Yep, it's pulling back. I'm gonna go down to meet it. I'm afraid I might move out of shot, but can't take any chances. Feels half decent as well, so let's get down here and get it sorted. Definitely had a good couple of thumps. It feels like maybe a dogfish. I'm hoping for better than a dogfish. Yeah, definitely a fish there. It's pulling back. It's got to be a ray. It's got to be a ray. If it's not a dog, if it's a dogfish, it's a big one. Put it like that. There's the leader. Just waiting to see now what we've got. There comes the trace, and there it is. Nice little thorny. Slide him up the beach. Excellent. Can't be bad. That's my new rig as well. Even better. Hook's popped out nice and easy. Well, there we have it. First one of the day. Didn't take too long in the end. That was on that new rig. So I had a couple of indications on it, then a nice pull of slack, and down tide it went. My first one of the year, so happy with that. Nice male, a set of claspers. There you go. Body warmers on as well, it's got that cold. A few more of them. Be a happy chappy. Only just gone back out. It's been out 3 minutes, I suppose, since the last cast, and it's going again. A couple of little taps on it already. I'm just waiting for that much more positive pull. It's the same bait on there this time. It's a mackerel and a squid cocktail. About 1.5 inches long. See the little taps and rattles. Last time I did get the proper pull and then it dislodged the lead and it was away. They don't always do that. Sometimes they'll just sit there like that, tapping away. I think eventually it will move. What I normally do now is I'll go and stand up behind the rod and see the angle of the line, seeing if it's moving. If it's moved from where I cast it, it's probably dislodged the lead already. It's not too far out of where it was before, which could be the tide. I've moved it that much. Definitely looks like something's having a go at it though. There's no need to rush these things. Once these fish sit on a bait like that and decide to have it, but the only thing is I don't want it to be deep hooked. So one more positive pull and I'll probably have that in. Yeah, so what I was trying to explain is, on this rig where that bait is in the splashdown but hanging down, in this case between the two wires, probably wouldn't be as bad with a plain lead, but where it's hanging down I've sort of got fears of it maybe snagging on something. So with my idea I want to get the lead to there, like that, and in this piece of section of line here I want to put a hook on something, maybe a little ring in there or a small swivel, and then put that in there with something like on a hook on a little bit of silicone that I can just take the tension, so for the cast the bait is held back into that position like it would be with a pulley rig, and then as soon as it hits the water and that's released, that will come off that hook and that will be away. So that is then technically back to the bottom end of a loop rig. So I'm going to have a little experiment with that, but I'm quite pleased today how this has worked, even without tethering it anywhere and just leaving it hanging like that. It seems to be doing the business. So let's get that out again. Temperature's dropping like a stone out there now, believe it or not. Everyone's putting their coats back on up there. That's not just me. Well, nothing more to report since that last fish, but pleasant day no matter what. As you can see, there's a couple more anglers dropped in between. They're on that lower level, and looking at that now, we've got about an hour just under, so that high tide line is going to be that lower one down there. I could have set up down there this morning, but didn't know whether it was going to come right up. I did see a video recently of the people fishing here, and they were right up on this top bank and it was level with the top. So yeah, I think it's just a different tide heights or whatever. But yeah, what a glorious day. Wind's got a little bit keen now with a little bit of a nip in it. As you can see over there, old Felixstowe, a little bit misty now. I should imagine, well, I know for a fact that come the warmer summer months and summer evenings, you can get down here. And by the way, I didn't let you know earlier on that the car park is still restricted to 4 hours, but that's from 8 AM in the morning to 6 PM at night. So if you come in the evening after 6, you can park in that quayside car park. I suppose there's a space there, 30 cars maybe. You can park in there after 6 PM and then straight down here with a little bit of gear and have a nice little evening's fishing. And I do know for a fact, because I've been down here myself, you can get some lovely bass fishing down here. Don't seem to get too many real big ones, but you do get a lot of schoolers and the odd better one you can take home within the rules, obviously. So that's probably something I'll have a go at as well in the summer. Travel a bit lighter, won't bring all the gear, just a rod's rest and a few bits and pieces, and have a go for maybe a bass. Smooth hounds are definitely going to turn up here at some point. Found a fairly clean bottom out where I've been fishing today, so don't really think there's too many snaggy bits along here. Whereas you cross over the Deben there onto that coast where I was last time, there's quite a few snaggy bays over there, but that's probably because it's fished more. It's more popular. You're always going to get that. So I'm just going to have another couple of bait changes in a minute. I'm giving them half an hour at a time. This time of the year it's not worth rushing around. It's a nice relaxing day. Where I'm parked, which is the little picnic car park before you actually get to the quay. I don't know how many spaces for cars in there. Where at the bit where I parked, there's probably enough for 6 there. There was another bit further over, probably looked the same. So maybe, I don't know, 18, 20 cars in that little bit there. It is free. It's unrestricted all day. I think they don't like you parking in there overnight, but obviously if you're coming here night fishing, you can use the quay car park like I just said. But yeah, I think if you're going to come here specifically to use that car park, you're going to need to get here fairly early, because once those spaces are gone, that's it. Right people, it's fast approaching 3:30 now, and nothing's happened since turn of the high tide, etc. I did think we might get another one, especially after that false indication straight after that ray. Well, that turned out to be a bit of seaweed, but yeah, can't complain. Broke my duck for this year, first one. Hopefully it's a sign of better things to come. As the weather starts getting warmer, water temperature warms up a little bit, I think these fish will start getting more active, and you'll start seeing more catches all along the coast. Sea's chopped up a little bit more than when I first got here. That did turn out to be the high tide line down there on that lower shelf. But I think in hindsight, I'm glad I set up here, because if you're actually down on the same level as the sea, you get a hell of a lot of background noise from it. So being up here, it just cuts it out a little bit. It's not too bad. So all in all, decent enough session, nice and relaxing day. I'm now going to reel both these rods in now, I think, and head back to the car. So thank you everyone again for all your support and your likes and your comments. Plenty of comments coming in now, and I get a lot of questions now, which is good, because I do enjoy answering people's questions. And I've had sort of a few requests for certain rigs which I've dealt with. I've actually sent them direct to people when they've asked me about a certain rig. Or so yeah, if you want to drop me any questions or any hints or tips yourself, I'm always up for learning. You never stop learning in this game. I shall respond to you all in some time or another. May not be straight away. Well, we're now into March. At the end of this month, I will officially be retired. So the 29th of March will be my retirement date official. So technically I should have more time on my hands, but it doesn't always work out like that. Thank you again, and I'll see you again on the next one.